Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird. Happy Wednesday and welcome back to the series on the Havamal. This week we are looking at verse 96 and we will examine 3 different translations to start with. And if you can hear growling in the background, please accept my apologies. My other cat Calliope is having a difference of opinion with the kittens. But now that that's been said, let's begin. The first translation reads, "Yet nearer evening come thou, Odin, if thou wilt woo a maiden. All were undone, save 2 knew alone such a secret deed of shame." That's Olive Bray. Second translation. "Toward evening, Odin, you should come again, if you want to talk a girl around. All will be lost unless only we know such shamelessness together." Carolyn Larrington. And our final translation from Bellows. "Come, Odin, after nightfall, if you wish for a seating with me. All would be lost if anyone saw us and learned that we were lovers." So, in this verse, we see that a rendezvous is being arranged. And it is interesting to me that secrecy is deemed necessary for this and that the intended deed is referred to as shameful. Now, in the modern pagan revival, which in the U.S. coincided with the sexual revolution of the mid-20th century, many a pagan has since claimed that any and everything goes, provided that the involved parties are both consenting adults. The thought that has largely prevailed since then is that, surely ancient pagan societies had few, if any, strictures on sexuality, and a lot of contradicting evidence to that has been either ignored or dismissed. It safely evade any discussion about whether or not sexual restraint or sexual boundaries of any kind has merit in and of itself, and pagan religion has been wrongly used as that excuse. One thing that feeds this attitude is that there are so many modern pagans who came out of Christian religions that have a very, very overbearing narrative about what is or is not virtuous in sexual matters. And because many pagans, and their journey essentially as an act of rebellion, sometimes they have a tendency to just do the opposite of what Christians think. And, that surely is what paganism is. And that's been their guiding star, and wrongly. And you should really consider this reason 10 billion and one, why rebellion is not a good reason to start calling yourself a member of any other group, but especially in spiritual matters. What we believe and how we conduct ourselves should never be out of spite to the religion or philosophy we were raised in. That just shouldn't be a factor in our thinking, and until we are ready to set down and walk away from previous religious experiences, then we aren't really ready to begin a spiritual journey into any other religion, let alone anything as complex as paganism. So, back to the verse, what would have made an affair between Billing's daughter and Odin shameful? After all, we've had no mention of her being anyone's wife. She's repeatedly referred to as a maiden. So what would have made the affair objectionable? Perhaps she was engaged to someone else. This isn't brought up in the verses, but it's a possibility to consider, since the verse did state that all would be lost if it was known that she had known lovers. Well, he was, sleeping around. Naturally, a fiance would take a rather dim view of that kind of infidelity. Another possibility is that having an affair of this kind would damage her reputation. So, as such, secrecy was vital because, the community will look down upon her, maybe label her a loose woman. And if that's the clear implication, is that pre-Christian societies did indeed have standards, and they did not have an anything goes view of sexuality. So it probably is worth taking a closer look at that history. And also, we do have in the historical record, whenever any kind of civilization got too promiscuous and too decadent, those societies didn't tend to fall. Obviously we don't know for sure she would have been, but we do know that there were standards, and those standards would have been violated if Billing's daughter had to, actually did lay down with Odin. And when I began my pagan studies, one of my books that I was studying described the act of sex as something that is inherently sacred, but it has to be treated as sacred in order to be sacred. And rather than viewing human beings as mere bodies for the purpose of physical pleasure, the text encouraged the reader to make their own personal standards for whether or not they hopped into bed with someone. Now, granted, sexual relationships are very private, but if something has to be a secret that you're even romantically involved with someone, then that's a pretty good sign that something, and probably a lot of somethings, is a bit wrong. So that's what I got out of the. I'd be very interested in what you got out of the verse. Let me know in the comment section below, or if you'd like to have a more extensive discussion, email me at Brigantia Blackbird at hotmail.com, and we'll talk there. But I think that'll do it for right now, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.